Welcome to this e-learning module from the Sussex Resilience Forum. This module will run through purpose of the plan, roles and responsibilities, introduction to scene management, command and control principles, and risk perspectives. It will also provide an overview of the Resilience Forum plans that support the Sussex Emergency and Response document. You can stop and replay this package at any time. The aim of the Sussex Emergency Response and Recovery document, known as SERR, is to provide an overarching framework for coordinated emergency management within Sussex. It applies to all Category 1 and Category 2 responders, as defined by the Civil Contingencies Act of 2004 at an emergency, and it describes the agreed procedures and joint arrangements for their effective management. It summarises the roles and responsibilities of organisations within the Sussex Resilience Forum. Additionally, it outlines how the responding organisations will work collectively, as well as the support role offered by other organisations. Section 3 of the SERR document outlines the response objectives that are common to all agencies responding to any incident. All agencies will respond to an agreed set of strategic objectives with an agreed priority as outcomes from a strategic coordinating group meeting. For more information on this group and others, you can review the Introduction to Sussex Resilience e-learning module. The roles and responsibilities for agencies in the response phase are set out in the pages of the SERR document at Annex A. There is a card for most organisations or groups of organisations, such as the utility providers. Additionally, a lead coordinating agency is defined in Annex A of the document. The police will lead the coordination of the response to most major incidents, particularly sudden impact emergencies and weather-related incidents, such as flooding. The response to some other emergencies will be coordinated by other agencies. These will be defined as part of the Community Risk Register, SERR, and examples include the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency, MCA, through HMCG, lead coordination of maritime and shoreline emergencies. The MCA and local authorities lead coordination of maritime pollution emergencies. The Public Health England leads for public health outbreaks. Animal Health and Veterinary Laboratories Agency, the AHVLA, leads for animal health outbreaks. Incidents, by their very nature, are complex, and the scene of an incident, or indeed scenes, can cover a wide area and involve a number of other locations to support. Initially, there will be an inner cordon set around an incident, and this is shaped as to the risk of the incident and where responders will be working in a hot area. This area will require protective equipment to work, and without this you should not enter. This area is usually defined by the Fire and Rescue Service, if they are in attendance. Those persons evacuated from the incident scene from the inner cordon may be taken to an evacuation assembly point. From the initial response, the ambulance, police and fire and rescue services will coordinate their response and put resources assigned to their forward control points in close proximity to each other. These forward control points will be coordinating the forward working staff. Those involved in the incident from the public will be taken to one of three areas depending on the situation. The Survivor Reception Centre is coordinated by Sussex Police, and here survivors will be met by police officers and local authority staff in support to document them. This is important as it would feed into the Casualty Bureau process. The Casualty Clearing Station assesses the injuries to those in the incident, assesses the severity, and triages those injured before onward transport to a healthcare setting appropriate to their injuries. Depending on the number of casualties in the incident, those with very minor injuries may not go through this process. To coordinate the response to an incident, a multi-agency tactical coordination centre will be established. All of these locations may be located within the outer cordon. This is the controlled area that only responder agencies will be allowed to enter. This will be via control points, where you would be logged in and out. Outside of this outer cordon may be other locations, such as any temporary mortuary sites, the Family and Friends Centre where family members can attend and be apprised of the situation, as well as the media briefing point. The number of responding emergency vehicles and others can be very overwhelming and can also lead to gridlock close to an incident unless well managed. Therefore, a rendezvous point will be established along with marshalling areas to help coordinate resources. This will be away from the scene to allow those responders needed to access the site to do so in a coordinated way. Also away from the scene, there are receiving hospitals, which in the case of specialist care could be many miles away from the emergency assistance centres established for those that are displaced from their homes due to the incident. As you can see, the scene management can be a very complex area, and further details are in the SERR document. It is rare for a complete or perfect picture to exist, and therefore a working strategy for a rapid onset emergency should be based on the information available at the time. The police, fire and ambulance services have nationally adopted a joint decision-making model as shown, and the following should be taken into account when developing a working strategy for any incident. What are the aims and objectives to be achieved? Who by? Police, fire, ambulance and partner organisations. When? Timescales, deadlines and milestones. Where? What locations? Why? What is the rationale? Is this consistent with the overall strategic aims and objectives? How are these tasks going to be achieved? In order to deliver an effective integrated multi-agency operational response plan, the following key steps must be undertaken. Identification of hazards. This will begin from the initial call received by a control room and will continue as first responders arrive on scene. Information gathered by individual agencies must be disseminated to all first responders and control rooms effectively. The use of the mnemonic methane will assist in a common approach. Dynamic risk assessment. Undertaken by individual agencies, reflecting the tasks, objectives to be achieved, the hazards that have been identified, and the likelihood of harm from those hazards. Identification of the tasks. Each individual agency should identify and consider the specific tasks to be achieved according to its own role and responsibilities. Apply control measures. Each agency should consider and apply appropriate control measures to ensure any risk is as low as reasonably practicable. Integrated Multi-Agency Operational Response Plan. The development of this plan should consider the outcomes of the hazard assessment and service risk assessments within the context of the agreed priorities of the incident. Recording of decision. The outcomes of the joint assessment of risk should be recorded, together with the identified priorities and the agreed multi-agency response plan, when resources permit. It is acknowledged that in the early stages of the incident, this may not be possible, but it should be noted that post-incident scrutiny inevitably focuses on the earliest decision-making. Whilst this model has been developed for the emergency services, it clearly has benefits to all responding agencies, and the principles for joint working apply to all agencies. More information can be found on the www.jesip.org.uk website. The emergency services would provide information to other agencies in a methane format to allow for common understanding of incident information in a timely manner. The mnemonic stands for M, my call sign, or name an appointment, major incident, standby, or declared. E, exact location of the incident. Where possible, map references are preferred. T, type of incident, such as chemical, explosion, road, rail, or aircraft incident. H, hazards, both those present and potential. A, access, the best routes for access and egress to a scene and rendezvous points, known as RVPs. N, number of casualties, the approximate number and types of casualties, P1, P2, P3, and dead, and whether they are or could be contaminated. E, emergency services, a report on services already on site and if further services required. The Strategic Coordinating Group, SCG, will be responsible for liaising with central government and other bodies in providing additional resources for the scene and maintaining a strategic overview. It is important that the person sent to represent each agency at the Strategic Coordinating Group has sufficient authority to guarantee the delivery of facilities they offer on behalf of their organisation. It is not intended that the coordinating group should in any way assume the authority and responsibilities of individual services in the discharge of their respective and sometimes statutory duties. The Police Gold Commander would establish and then chair a Strategic Coordinating Group, SCG, in order to coordinate the emergency or major incident. There will usually be a number of meetings to coordinate the response to an incident. Under certain circumstances, it may be appropriate for another organisation to chair the SCG. This is perfectly acceptable, following agreement from the other SCG members. The primary purpose of the SCG is to review the situation from a strategic perspective and to deliver the strategic leadership required throughout the course of the incident. It is required to remain focused on the overall picture and must not become concerned with detailed tactical or operational decisions. At all recent major incidents, great value has been derived from the formation of a Tactical Coordinating Group, TCG. In describing the functions of the TCG, therefore, it should be emphasised that it is essential that the first supervising officers on scene from each of the responding agencies liaise closely with each other at the earliest opportunity, and those officers may be invited to the first Tactical Coordinating Group meeting. They will need to describe their initial decisions or will need to brief their organisation so that their representative on the group can give an account of the initial actions. Responding emergency services will appoint Silver Commanders to act as tactical commanders for their organisations. In addition, other agencies will send representatives to the scene to act as tactical commanders or coordinators on behalf of their organisation. The Police Incident Commander should bring all these tactical commanders and coordinators together and form a TCG. This group should be formed as soon as practicable in order to determine a coordinated response at the tactical level. All joint decisions must be minuted in a decision log. The Police Incident Commander will chair these meetings. In addition, TCG will be responsible for implementation of strategy set by the Strategic Coordinating Group, where established. assuming tactical command of the incident. Developing a tactical plan in order to achieve the strategic intentions. Establishing appropriate control locations, e.g. Forward Control Point, FCP. Providing safe and suitable rendezvous points, RVPs. Ensuring a decision log is commenced and maintained to record all decisions and key events. Determining what resources are required to adequately deal with the incident. Determining the priority in allocating resources. Planning and coordinating how, when, and by which agency a task will be undertaken. Assessing prevailing risks and monitoring requirements. Striking an overall balance between risks and tasks. This area of a response are known as the front end, or sometimes referred to as the doing area. The responders are responsible for the direct actions and implementation of the tactical plan. Whilst primarily focused on the doing, it is imperative that they report any issues or challenges with implementing the tactical plan as soon as possible, to allow the tactical group to undertake alterations or make requests for support as soon as possible. At this level, it is key to have a good working relationship with the other agencies, to assure that there is an understanding of the roles of others and the impact actions may have on other responders. The SRF risk group are responsible for reviewing risks highlighted on our SRF risk register. These risks are assigned a review period, and there are a number of considerations as to the risks identified that have to be assessed. All partner agencies are consulted and contribute to the risk assessment process. Multi-agency consultation is also crucial for making a considered judgment on the 4 impact assessment sections of the template. The impact assessment is broken down into 7 areas: economic, fatalities, casualties, social disruption, public outrage, public anxiety, and environmental. They are scored on a matrix above, with some additional supporting guidance, which is available from the SRF Risk Group Chair or the SRF Business Management Team. The methods of debriefing with personnel involved in a major incident may vary within each individual service. It will, however, be beneficial to debriefing if consideration is given to the following before the SRF hold a multi-agency debrief. Debriefing to start as soon after the incident as is practicable. Everyone involved, including personnel remote from the area of operations, for example control room staff, should be afforded the opportunity to contribute to debriefing at some stage. The need for additional debriefing sessions for personnel involved in specific or specialist operations.